Thank you. Okay, folks, I've got 6 o'clock. I'd like to call this November 5th, 2024 meeting of the Henderson City County Planning Commission to order. I want to welcome everybody here. Thank you all for coming. We do appreciate everybody's help as we move through these matters. Madam Secretary, please call the roll.
Thank you. David Dixon.
Here.
Kevin Richard.
Here.
Bobby Jarrett.
Here.
Mac Arnold.
Here.
XR Royster.
Here.
Dickie Johnson. Gary Gibson.
Here.
Gray Hodge. Stacy Denton. Kevin Herron. Frank Boyette.
Here.
Heather Tays.
Do we have a quorum?
We do.
We do. Thank you very much. We've got several public hearing items. I'll entertain a motion to go into public hearings.
So moved.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor of entering public hearing, say yes.
Yes.
Anyone opposed? We are in public hearing. We do have a sizable group with us tonight and a lot to talk about. I'm going to propose that we put in place our speaking guidelines that we have used many times. I will read these proposal and ask for a motion and vote to put them in place this evening. If the Henderson City County Planning Commission's regularly scheduled meeting for 6 p.m. Tuesday, November 5th, 2024, has not been sooner concluded and adjourned, it will stop at 9 p.m. and by motion and vote of the Planning Commission be continued and reconvened the following night, Wednesday, November 6th, 2024, at 6 p.m. and stop at 9 p.m. and by motion and vote of the Planning Commission be continued and reconvened 6 p.m. and stop at 9 p.m. from night to night thereafter until finished. Planning Commission wants to hear all evidence, comments, statements, positions, suggestions, and questions, collectively called comments. Each presenter may or may not allow questions during their presentation at their discretion. All general comments will be heard at the end after all presentations by staff and the applicant, unless the chairman elects otherwise or unless changed by vote of the Planning Commission. There will be no time limit on attorneys, and attorneys will present and comment first. We will begin with attorneys, then non-attorneys. Attorneys may ask questions directly. Questions from non-attorneys must be presented to the chairman, either verbally or in writing, along with who the question is to be directed to, and the chairman will ask the question. That is, non-attorneys may not ask questions directly. Each non-attorney will initially be given 3 minutes. After every non-attorney has had 3 minutes, if there are non-attorneys who would like additional time, an additional 3 minutes will be given, and this procedure will be repeated until everyone has had an opportunity to present all they desire to present. Speakers are asked not to repeat something someone else has said, but may come forward and say they agree with one or more other speakers and present anything new they may have. Planning commissioners may comment and ask questions at any time. I will ask for a motion to put these guidelines in place.
So moved.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Very good. All in favor of instituting these guidelines, say yes.
Yes.
Any opposed? Very good. Thank you. The motion passes. First item of business is approval of the minutes from October 1. I'll entertain a motion in that regard.
So moved.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor of approving the minutes from the October 1st meeting, say yes.
Yes.
Any opposed? Minutes are approved. Thank you very much. The first item on the public hearing agenda, or the next item I should say, is rezoning 1160 with graphic and narrative development plan. Mr. Bishop, you going to kick this one off?
Yes, sir. This is submitted by Henderson Municipal Power and Light for the property located in the city of Henderson at 2230 South Green Street, being parcel ID number 46-84, containing 6.878 acres. The applicants have submitted a rezoning change map amendment application with a graphic and narrative development plan from general business GB to heavy industrial M2 to expand the substation and to include a battery energy storage system. BESS, as we have known it as. The applicant is proposing the construction of a 12 megawatt BESS. They propose 15 enclosed structures that would house batteries used for energy storage. The site has historically been used for Hempel Substation Number 7. The applicants have also proposed screening along the existing tree line located on the east property line of the site. Staff has prepared a motion for and against, which directs staff to bring back findings of fact based on the data and the findings that we had tonight. The Planning Commission, if you do elect to make a proposal for, staff would recommend that it be approved subject to an engineered site plan and conditional use permit. And I believe Mr. Randall Redding is here to provide greater detail on the application.
Before we go to that, help us with the site itself. Residential areas, existing homes, could you point those out, please?
Jennifer is moving the cursor along Oak Cordon Road, which there's existing residential units along that road, which is to the east of the site. You'll notice the Highway 60 railroad crossing is just southwest of the site. It's near the intersection of Oak Cordon Road and Ohio Drive.
Okay, how many residents do we have there?
Looks like 8 at a quick count. Is that right?
Is that one to the west?
Yeah, it's in the house there.
Across the railroad tracks?
Yeah, on the side of the railroad track.
Yes, I believe so.
Okay, what is across the street?
Across the street is a commercial building at the intersection of Ohio Drive and 60 West. And the larger building you'll see to the east of the map is Matthew 25. That helps orient everybody.
Okay, thank you. Does the commission have any other questions for staff at this point? Okay, I guess we'll hear from the applicant to start off. Who would like to there you go.
Commissioners, Randall Redding representing Henderson Municipal Power and Light on this application. Obviously,
Excuse me, sir. Got your name, I need your address.
1218 Adams Lane, Henderson, Kentucky.
You promise to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
Yes.
Very good. Please proceed.
Yes, Commissioner. Obviously, before I make some brief remarks here, we have a slight presentation to present by Mr. Brad Bickett, which I will adhere to the protocols of trying to solicit the questions through that. Let me just preface this by the substation 7 that they're referencing. If I could hand out and ask you to pass.
All right. Would you give those to Heather, please? Mac, give those to Heather, please. All right. Mr. Ray, would you like those entered as exhibits?
I would. I think that gives some substance to the general zoning in the area. As you are aware, Hempel provides power for the city of Henderson residents, and the substation 7 located on South Green Street is located in a general industrial area and services and provides 30% of Hempel's power to that area. It's a large substation that provides general service to the industries in that area. We have made this request because the existing general business is obviously outdated for that area, and in fact, the area has become more industrial over time and has resulted in the request for the rezone. The rezone is specific for a battery storage facility that is going to be servicing those industries in that area.
So when you say that if you get a zone change, you're not going to put anything else there?
There's nothing planned to be there besides the battery storage facility that's being referenced in the project.
No, the reason I'm asked that question is that, yes, I agree, that area needs to be, the zone needs to be changed. I'm not so sure about the rest of it.
Sure.
But I'm willing to hear what all you got to say.
And I think what we want to start with is to acknowledge that the area is generally highly industry oriented. The majority of it is M2 on the side of 60 And that area is served by our facility that provides the power to these industries. And the rezone is needed so that the project can improve the area for the resiliency of the power grid to allow the battery storage to service and continue to service those areas that need to be grown in that area. This is the optimal location for a project like this because it allows for the power to be used by those consumers in that area. And as can be explained further by General Manager Brad Bickett, will allow for us to continue to serve and grow that area at an economic cost that saves money to the consumers and allows for the grid to continue to accommodate this changing industry that is needed to accommodate our changing with the power grid. With that said, what I would prefer to do is to introduce Mr. Bickett and to allow him to present to you the technical data that allows the commission to make a decision on the rezone.
Anybody else have any questions at this point? Okay, very good, thank you. Go ahead and proceed.
Mr. Bickett, would you like to start with your PowerPoint?
Yes.
The pointer should be what?
Do we need to introduce and have him?
I need to swear him in.
Good evening, Commissioners, staff. Brad Bickett, General Manager for Henderson Municipal Power and Light. Our principal business address is 1213 Barrett Boulevard, Henderson, Kentucky, 42420.
You promise to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
I do.
Very good. Please proceed.
So I'd like to also mention that on behalf of Henderson Municipal Power and Light, I'm also, use the term HEMPL. You all are familiar with the acronym. We've got our utility commissioners here, Chair Lynn Shannon, Vice Chair Mark Weaver, Commissioner Russell Sykes, Commissioner Eric Gardner, and Commissioner Christy Osborne. Along with our commission, we also have our directors. We have our Transmission and Distribution Director, Chuck Tucker, Chief Technology Officer, Brian Hardesty, Human Resources Director, Tammy Consular, our Power Supply Director, Aaron Spence. So as Mr. Redding stated, I've got a short presentation I'd like to go through to give you all some background as to why we're here this evening. So the mission statement of this utility, this is a community-owned utility, so we're here to serve our customers in the best way that we can. Part of doing that, we follow a mission statement that our utility commission supports, which is to provide the highest quality service at the lowest possible rate. In order to do that, from a power supply point of view, we look out 20 years. We evaluate multiple different scenarios, and we evaluate what's the lowest cost way to serve our customers, our electric customers. And as part of doing that, what's called an integrated resource plan, the most recent was completed in 2021. Some recommendations came out of that. What was recommended as a utility was very similar to what other utilities, especially in organized markets, were also finding. So we are a member, as of retirement of the coal plant in 2019, we joined what's called MISO. It's the Mid-Continent Independent System Operator. They cover about 15 states in the central United States. This map is going to reflect the area that I'm referencing when I say MISO. It's the wholesale power market that we're a part of. We buy our power every day from this market. What you're not seeing here is that there are also organized markets to our east and west. Most of Kentucky is not an organized market today. It's still a bilateral type power supply arrangement. But you've got PJM, which you may have heard about, it's in the northeast, and you've got South Power Pool. What I want to show you is that what you're seeing on the screen is what's called the interconnection queue map. These are the projects that are in development right now in MISO. And when I click on this, when I'm showing you a screenshot, I've got solar click. Because if you look at this, and it's a little hard to see, there are almost 1,000 solar projects, and these are not small. These are connected to the high voltage transmission. These are not connected to local distribution systems. But what this is showing is that the lowest cost to serve customers going forward is not what's been the lowest cost way to serve customers in the past. So the next slide I'll show you is this is projects that are actually in development today. And I've got two boxes checked here. Number one is standalone battery storage. And again, these are not For this map, these are connected at the transmission system. These are not including what's called distribution size, as what we are planning. There's also, I've got the box checked for hybrid, which means that there's some kind of storage paired with either solar or wind, basically a renewable source. What's telling of this is that we are in a paradigm shift when it comes to the electric industry. And what Hempel recognizes is that even though we're a small, relatively small utility, we're not really small in the municipal world. We're actually a pretty good sized municipal when you look at that particular type of public power. We have to do everything that the larger vertically integrated utilities do, from generator buyer power all the way to delivering it to our customers. So when we look at this potential project, what we're seeing is that we expect it's going to save our customers overall between $750,000 and $1 million per year over the term of the agreement we have with NextEra, which is a 20-year deal. We also see that it's going to improve the resiliency of the electric distribution system because we're going to have the ability to discharge this battery and serve those customers without bringing that power in over the transmission lines that are out in the county that we connect to our neighbors with. We're also going to reduce our dependence on the regional electric transmission system, which we have to pay for. So everything that we bring in over the transmission system, it's like an interstate highway, if you will, of the electric grid. We bring all of our power in over the transmission, we have to pay for that use of that transmission system. As was mentioned earlier, this map shows you the parcels of customers that are currently served off of our substation number 7 on South Green. About 30% of all the power that we deliver to customers goes through this substation. We've got 6 of these. This is one of 6 distribution substations. This substation is vitally important to the ability for these industries to do business, including Gibbs, Auto Metals, Dana Corporation, Topsy Steel. There's a few others there. You all are familiar with this area. This is just another shot at the development plan. What is important to know is that location is very important when you look at where you put a battery storage system, especially if you're not going to step the voltage up to high voltage to move it over a longer distance. It needs to be at the co-located with the substation, where you're going to discharge and charge the system, charge the battery. This is just an image that gives you a visual of what these battery storage containers look like. This came from NextEra, who is the developer that we've entered into a contract with. In terms of this request, it's a rezoning request for with a development plan, as was already mentioned. What I would like to tell you is that it is aligned with the comprehensive plan that's in place with the city and the county. And I referenced 3 different topic areas in the comprehensive plan where this project's aligned. The first one I'll just summarize is basically to guide industrial growth to existing areas. The next is protecting our national systems, looking at energy efficiency, and looking at renewable energy. I also want to point out, though, that Hempel's not driving this renewable energy transition. And you might hear about it, and I understand it's challenging. It's challenging our business. We look forward to know how we're going to protect our customers in a world where you don't have as many dispatchable generators operating. But nonetheless, we've incorporated renewable energies into our portfolio. And what I'll mention back to the resource planning earlier, I mentioned different scenarios. There's not one scenario looking forward where we do not have battery storage in our portfolio mix. There's not one that, no matter what administration is in charge or what policies are in place, but there's not one scenario where battery storage doesn't play a very important role in serving our customers in the future. The last one is the bill for public utilities, and that is to maintain the low-cost utilities that our customers benefit from today. With that, I'll stop and ask for any questions.
Commission have any questions for this gentleman?
Mr. Biggett, back to the illustration of what the battery compartment or cabinet would look like. Just to clarify, how many did you say would be on site of that size?
There's going to be around 14.
14.
Final design is not done yet. We're early in the design process, but I'm going to say around 14.
Now, what type of battery system is that?
This chemistry is called lithium iron phosphate, And that's an important point because it is less energy dense than what you have in electric vehicles or your power tools, which is a nickel, manganese, cobalt chemistry, NMC, more prone to having a problem, a thermal event. These lithium iron phosphate batteries are more safe, more stable, and I can speak a little bit to the industry standards that are continuing to change, and the amount of design changes that are going into the batteries to isolate and contain any type of an event before it would propagate out.
I heard some information here just recently about another type of battery storage that I wish I had paid a little more attention to the time. I'm trying to think of hydrogen and with sulfate or something. Is there something like that?
So there's many different chemistries when it comes to battery storage. There's also the idea that you produce hydrogen using electrolysis from renewables, and you store the hydrogen and then you burn the hydrogen. The problem with that is it's nowhere close to a mature technology today, or usable technology. At some point in time, I would like to also add that there would be, it's possible, it's looking more favorable all the time, that nuclear fusion technology will be commercialized. There's been some articles recently that the physics has been figured out, but there's not, the commercialization and being able to produce power we're not there. And we might be a long ways away from that for baseload generation. This resource is really for what we'll call a peaking resource, which means whenever we see our highest demand, which is very expensive power for us, we can discharge this battery and save ourselves a lot on the purchase power.
Any other questions?
Yeah, when you charge them, you're gonna be charging them from the power that you buy?
So we're going to be charging from all of the solar that's going to be produced, renewables, solar and wind. But yes, we'll be able to charge the battery when it's economic to do so. If you look in the Northeast right now, there's a lot of wind in that area of the country, and we watch the market prices, and a lot of times those prices are negative. So what that means is if we have more renewables in our area and the market price for power is negative, we can actually get paid revenue that passes through our customers to charge the battery. So to your point, we would charge it and discharge it when it's most economic to do so. And to also use it at our peak demand, like I said, to reduce the buy.
No, we had meeting before, how safe are them if they do catch on fire, how do you put them out?
So that's the question, and we've had several meetings with our local fire department, and we've challenged NextEra, and they have went above and beyond to provide as much information as possible to the technology. It's very important to make a distinction between the newer technology and the older technology, because these early incidents that have happened have led to lessons learned, which have led to industry standards being modified. So the biggest thing that's been done in the design of these battery systems is to contain any type of a thermal event at the module level or in racks. So inside of these containers, you've got racks that hold multiple modules, and each module has many cells. If one of those cells begins to overheat, in early days, there was no way to isolate that or detect it. Now you've got various types of monitoring, various types of controls that will contain, and then the company that we've entered into a contract with, NextEra Energy, has many of these facilities operating across the United States. And so they have been front line in the changes that the standards that have come to be. And so we have them engaged to provide a lot of information to show how safe that this battery system will be.
But do we have any operation around here right now?
Not really
Yeah.
closely, not with the latest technology. We do have some older technology battery systems that are relatively close that we've gone to see. But in terms of the newer systems, for one example, you can't put in a battery system, a utility scale, and be able to walk in the enclosure anymore. That was deemed to be a very unsafe design. So now these containers you will not be able to go into these containers, thereby having an area where hydrogen gas could build up and cause a risk there. So there's not any really close to answer your question. I think the nearest one might be in the Northeast, Massachusetts maybe is what I recall.
Other questions?
Commissioner Dixon, I'm going to follow up with a few things that I think, so the record is complete.
Very good. Before you do that, one of our commissioners who is not here this evening has provided some questions. She's very interested in this issue. This is Commissioner Heather Taves. I think Mr. Bishop is going to share her thoughts, and you guys can react to those at this point. Is that okay with everybody? Good, go ahead then, Brian.
Thank you. Question one, I would like to know if all businesses within a 1 mile radius, I understand they cannot all be present, are prepared to shelter in place for 1 week in the event of an incident. And can they provide food, water, waste removal, clothing, showers, on-site childcare, can't be home for your kids or take them to school if you're sheltered in place, is her comment, for all employees. Question two, in the event
Excuse me,
of...
maybe we should go one question at a time.
Okay, sorry.
Thank you.
Would you answer the question for that, Commission?
So the 1 mile evacuation radius that was cited in the question is a recommendation that was initially came up when battery storage technology was very new. Those recommendations, that guidance, if you will, is changing as the technology is improving. And quite frankly, there's absolutely no reason for a 1 mile evacuation radius from this facility. One thing I would like to do, Mr. Bishop, if I may, there's a document that I've got that we can pull up that I would reference to say that current guidance, if it's,
Mr. Baker, do you see the name of the document?
I've actually got some hand, can I just hand it out?
Yes, if you would give it to Heather, please.
So this document is from a joint working group or agency of the NFPA.
Mr. Bishop, is this the correct document?
No, that's a flyer that we produced that shows the benefits of storage. I don't see the one I'm looking. You can see it.
You see which number, however you, I believe that's it.
Okay, try. That's,
And this today,
go up one.
right there.
I don't think that's 8:30. You see the 11:05 days?
Bottom one.
Bottom.
What I sent was in the PDF. But what I want to point to is this, and this is the basis document, that the recommended radius, evacuation zone now is 150 feet. By this. Oh, thank you. So the other thing I would add is, and this is absolutely important to us, and you all know, in the industry we're in, we have inherently hazardous work. Yes, sir.
Would you read the name of that document in the record?
Yes, I need to.
Randall, are you asking that be part of the record?
It is,
Yes, we can put that in the record.
Do you want it?
yes.
Yes.
This is a 2023 firefighter safety stand-down document. The title is Firefighting Operations with Lithium Batteries. And what I'll mention is that the recommended set evacuation zone, if you will, for an active incident is 150 feet by the current guideline. I think that what's been referenced in the question. The other thing I would mention is that there it is.
It was on the desktop.
Oh, it's okay. The other thing I would mention is that Nextera is working on what's called a plume study, using this technology that we're planning for the site, that they actually have in operation. And what that study is going to show is that as a 50 foot away from this fence, this project is a safe distance for people to be. In other words, it doesn't have a negative effect on health and human safety, public safety, at 50 feet from the facility.
Okay, I understood what you just said. The guidelines for evacuation went from 1 mile to 150 feet.
The current guidance is 150 feet. I don't know where the 1 mile came from,
Okay.
but I can tell you that the way that the early battery fire instance happened is not going to happen based on today's design standards. And Nextera has told us the one event, they've got over 2 gigawatts of battery storage in operation in the United States. One event they had, it was isolated at the module level, at the rack level, as it was intended. So the control systems in these facilities do work. They're demonstrated to work. And they've done testing to actually cause the incident to show that the controls and the way that the design of the modules are separated, almost like a firewall, if you will, it works. It eliminates the risk for the incidents that you've read about on the internet that have been highlighted, if you will.
Okay, thank you. We'll go ahead with Heather's questions, get those
Yes,
out of the
sir.
way.
Question number 2, in the event of a no to number 1, what is Hempel prepared to do for all those people to, number 1, prepare for, number 2, care of if Hempel has an accident?
Right, but hopefully the information about this project specifically addresses the concern about the radius of evacuation. What I will say as a comment about Hempel is that I'll tell you, based on our past practice in dealing with our customers, we've taken care of issues that we've caused for our customers. And I think that going forward, our utility commission would support our efforts to take care of customers if there was an incident that caused some public harm. We've talked to the fire department about what's the concerns. We know what those concerns are. We're going to address them. We're also going to, there's no agreement in place today, but we would take on that financial burden that could exist if the fire department has to bring in mutual aid to support an incident at the site. But to the question, like I said, the need for that type of evacuation radius seems to be a lot of overkill for the project that we've got planned.
Thank you. Next question, or we,
Yes.
we're going to get the same answer to all the questions?
Possibly. Question number 3, I'm extremely concerned about there being a BES in the vicinity of so many industrial facilities, excuse me, and especially concerned with one being right by a major rail line that services not just the manufacturing in the vicinity of the proposed BES, but also the Henderson Riverport. Shutting down that rail line could have large effects on the entire county. How does Hempel plan on mitigating this in the event of an incident?
So I'll revert back to the earlier comment that any incident is going to be isolated and contained. That is how we are going to require this project to be designed and built, number 1. Number 2, I would submit to you that there's no more risk to the railroad than there is today with our existing substation and the conventional infrastructure that exists there today.
Very good, thank you.
Question number 4, or statement number 4, actually. I'm also very concerned with having to shut down Highway 60, a major thoroughfare, from one end of the county to the other. Question 5, is a moratorium out of the question?
First, I'll speak to the road. It's the same answer that I gave for the railroad. And a question about a moratorium. What I would caution the community against is implementing any such thing that we don't see our ability to serve our customers reliably without utilizing the newer technology that exists today. And I would just caution the community against prohibiting the use of something that we know could benefit our customers.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, the last item, add language to any yes motion that says they must follow all current and future ordinances, including the best safety guidelines and county emergency response plans that we just created.
Okay, I think that's probably it. I think she's speaking to us in that.
I
At that
believe so.
point. The county has had a study group on this, that obviously they're considering similar issues. And we've covered, the city does have an ordinance in place governing this, do they not?
They do, sir.
Came through here?
They do, sir.
Okay. Any other questions for this gentleman? These gentlemen? Do you have anything that you'd like to share?
I would like to follow up on a few things. I would like to clear up on that last. Mr. Bickett, has the Henderson Municipal Power and Light agreed, both at the LDC meetings with the Planning Commission, with all entities involved, to adhere to all applicable federal, state, local ordinance guidelines, safety protocols, and other factors that have been asked to be placed into this project.
Yes.
And has NextEra, can you explain, they are one of the leaders in the industry of battery storage, are they not?
Correct, yes.
And they, under the new designs, with the new equipment, under the new technology, is NextEra preparing a specific study for this project in order to address any concerns about if an event were to occur, the breadth of which the plume or the exposure would be to the surrounding occupants?
Yes, they are.
And have they indicated to you what they believe that may show in the scope of trying to arrive at a distance area?
Safe distance of 50 feet from the fence.
Now, and when you're talking about, so this is designed to be on Hempel's existing substation 7 to be in a contained situation. It's meant where that it won't escape out of that area, so the only thing left is to try to determine what, if any, would gases or air would escape from that event.
Right.
And hopefully that,
Oh, sorry. Can I ask one point of clarification? When you say 50 feet from the fence, do you mean on the inside the fence or outside the fence?
Outside the fence.
which is within the parameters of what we have indicated the project would show to be away from residential.
Correct.
Now, to follow up on another, so the record is complete, can you tell the commission why this particular location is significant? Expand a little bit upon it, about why substation 7 works to the advantage for the optimal location.
Co-locating battery storage with substation infrastructure is the most economic and the most effective way to utilize the value that you would get from a battery system, to be both charge and discharge it as close to the substation where it's going to be serving the customers from that point.
Does this substation in particular alleviate your, or any requirement to get any type of, what's the term you use? The studies that are done,
So being able to, I think what you're asking is for us to be able to install a battery storage system in our distribution system, it allows us not to go through a transmission interconnection process, which is about a 5-year process as we know today. Based on other projects that we know that are in that queue process. It's called an interconnection queue. It's a study process. And what comes along with that study process is, as an interconnecting customer, you're required to pay for any of what's called network upgrades. So if you plan to discharge this on a transmission system and you have to increase the size of a conductor out there on somebody else's line, you have to include that with the cost of the project.
on this particular substation, to simplify things, this would not require Hempel or the city to do any type of network upgrades in order to complete this project and disseminate this stored power to the
That's correct.
customers.
We've done a preliminary study that shows that the load at this substation will take all the power from the storage and will not be put onto the transmission system.
And by being located directly on your substation, can you tell the commission what distance does to electricity and why this is important to that?
So the longer you transfer power over a distance at a low voltage, you have losses. So power is voltage times current. The power loss is calculated by current squared times the resistance. So as you all probably know, if you've ever plugged in a very long extension cord or if you've ever run a generator from a long ways from where you're using it, that you don't get a very good effective use of your power because you've got power loss, and that's why power is stepped up to a higher voltage when it's sent over longer distances to minimize the losses for the interconnect.
And the monitoring would be done by what company?
NextEra,
And NextEra would do that 24/7,
24/7, 365 days a
All
year.
right, and what would that monitoring mean to the community as far as safety and welfare to the individuals in this area?
They'll be monitoring for various variables, including temperature, gas, that would be early detection and be able to follow the procedures to isolate any event before it would become beyond the container, if you will.
And be able to suppress that through whatever mechanisms.
It's containment. The suppression mechanism is containment.
I think that's all I have.
I thought of one question then, while you were, so you mentioned not having to step up to a high KV because you're not going a long distance. So what will the voltage be between substation and BES?
It'd be our standard primary distribution voltage, which is 13.8 kV, or approximately 14,000 volts.
Thank you.
Other questions for these gentlemen at this point? Okay, thank you. Thank you, gentlemen. We'll probably need you again.
I have
Counselor?
one legal question. You said that you're restricting this to your rezoning to only battery storage, not the other uses permitted in an industrial zone. Is that accurate? Is that what you meant to say?
Well, let me make sure I understand what he's asking. We don't have any plans to put any type of other activity into this zone.
And if you do so restrict it, it would require you to come back to the planning commission to add another use, to add a factory, I can't think of what it would be, but whatever it might be, you're restricting it to only battery storage, that use.
And the conventional infrastructure that exists there today.
That's a good point.
I mean, yeah, the transmission has to be into the substation from its source.
I think the point is there are other permitted uses in the heavy industrial zone. Very, very different from a battery storage system.
And of no interest to Hempel, generally speaking.
So I think what we're saying is if another project were to come up that's in that zone applicable to M2, we would agree to address that in the appropriate manner.
So you're restricting it to that.
Yeah. You'd have to come back to
That's
us.
what you said in the beginning, but I wanted to flesh it out.
To the battery storage and the transmission.
Yeah.
Is there an answer? I'm sorry.
They said yes.
The answer is
Okay,
yes.
okay, I'm sorry. Very good. Other questions? Okay, thank you. Like I said, we may have to get back to you. Do we have someone here this evening who can speak and represent the Henderson Fire Department?
Well, we'll get you documents.
Thank you, sir. Your name?
Josh Dixon, Henderson Fire Department Fire Chief, 332 Washington Street.
You promise to tell the truth, whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you. I just wanted to hear from you all if you're.
Mr. Chairman, Mr. Anderson, do you plan to speak?
If they ask something specific that they need me to.
Why don't we go ahead and swear you in just for a second?
Okay. Matt Anderson, 332 Washington Street.
You promise to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, sir.
Good, very good. I was just wanted to hear from the experts at the fire department. Are you comfortable with this technology? Are you comfortable with this location?
So the city, we've hired a consultant that's toward this subject matter that knows more about it, which is Summit Fire Consulting. They've requested site-specific documentation from NextEra and Hempel, and at this time, we haven't got any of that documentation back. So it's hard for us to make a decision until that's been reviewed by the consultant and us.
Okay.
You got anything to add?
Just waiting on information.
So how long do you think this is going to take? Are we getting ahead of ourselves here?
I don't know. I don't have that answer. That'd be a NextEra question.
Okay. Anybody else have questions for these gentlemen?
Chief Dixon, was that Summit Fire Prevention?
No, Summit Fire Consultants.
Anybody else have questions for these gentlemen? Thank you all very much. Okay. Do we have anybody else? Yes, sir.
We'd like to come back and respond.
Of course.
Mr. Vicky, can you respond back to, I think we heard that correctly as to what they were talking about the consultants and some information.
Right, yeah, I want to express appreciation for the efforts that the fire department and city officials have done, because this is new, and it's taken a use of time to look at this. Like Chief Dixon said, they've asked for the site-specific detail, which is going to come with final engineering, and the project will be at that point, at the building permit phase, once equipment is procured. What's been provided to the fire department today, as of today, is documentation from the battery manufacturer that is the technology that will be located at this site. What is, I understand, is missing in the site-specific documentation, if you will, is the characteristics that apply, that the topography of the land and everything like that at the site will impact. So NextEra has provided already some documentation that's indicative of what this will be placed here. They're also working, like I said earlier, on a study that's they're working on some preliminary documentation that's earlier in this project timeline than what otherwise would be available. So they're going over and above to provide some preliminary information that would give representative, data to the local officials, so they can understand what is expected to be here for this project. But final engineering is a ways off from where we're at today. We're taking 3 months down the road from where we're at.
But I think what we're trying to say is that we did this as a joint request to do, the second phase would be the conditional use permit. But in order, the rezone has to be approved for the items to then move forward to go to the next level for the project managers to then put together that type of data to bring back for the request that the project be approved.
Mr. Chairman, can I elaborate on that?
Yes, please.
The site plan that I referenced earlier, the engineered site plan, the fire department would be part of that review process. They are one of the technical advisors that I often refer to when I say we have received necessary technical approval. So Plan Commission staff will work hand in hand with the fire department.
On the site plan.
Correct. And any related documents that they need that could be associated with the site.
It might be a good time to kind of make sure everybody understands what we're here tonight to do. Our task has been to hold a public hearing concerning a rezoning, and then to make a recommendation to the city commission, one way or the other. Okay? It's a recommendation. The elected leaders of our city will then decide whether to go along with our recommendation or not. They can decide to hold their own public hearing and start over. So I just want everybody to understand as we go forward that this is not a completely final step as far as a rezoning. Okay? Our job is to gather the information, which you all are providing very well, and make our best decision on to the city commission. Now, if it should be approved finally by the city commission, it comes back to us in terms of a site plan, much more detailed work. That's fair enough?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Any other questions for these gentlemen at this point? Thank you, guys. Do we have anyone else here this evening who would like to speak in favor of this? Let's get the pros out first. Anybody else want to speak in favor, please?
Thank you, Commission. My name is Bob Lawson,
And your address?
1316 Dillon Circle.
And you promise to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
I do.
Very good. How can we help you? How can you help us?
Well, I just want to voice my support for the proposal by HMPL and offer my support for that, both as in my role as a citizen and as my role as superintendent of Henderson County Schools. Appreciate their efforts to move us forward and to save their customers money, and I believe those savings over time will be a huge benefit to our community.
Thank you, sir. Any questions for this gentleman? Good, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Anyone else like to speak in favor of this project? Okay, we can come back around later. Anyone here who might have a question about this or would like to speak in opposition or wants to know more about it? Yes, sir. Your name, sir,
Les Cannon,
and your address?
412 Old Cordon Road.
You promise to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
Yes,
Very good, sir. Please proceed.
I've lived out there 54 years, long before the city came out. And I've listened to them talk about all the businesses and everything, and businesses were running before that station, that substation was ever built. I was part of the Miller subdivision, and that's what you're talking about right now. And I'm nervous as I can be.
That's okay, please.
You're fine.
You're my friend.
This man said when he read the rules that you can't ask questions.
Yes, you may. You can ask me, and then I'll try to find the answer for you.
Well, they've talked about the business, the money, and all that stuff, but they never said a thing about the residents living there. In the beginning, what they're wanting to rezone was an agreement between Dan Hauser and Paul Herron that would become Business 3 with a 20-foot green zone between them and the residents. That's been violated already under the agreement made by Paul Herron and Dan Hauser. That substation, I don't know if I was even notified about it when that was going on. Too busy making a living. But I have questions here that affect the residents. And you can't answer them, some of them. The fireman back there may answer some of them. And if I'll just read them for the record.
By all means.
Can you guarantee no fire? That was going to be a question. What is the EPA risk assessment? I don't know if the EPA has even been notified. What is the lithium battery hazmat classification? What is NFPA 704 ruling placing lithium-ion battery storage near residential homes?
Okay, you're
Now,
going
that's National Fire Prevention Association.
Okay, you rattle those letters off again?
NFPA.
Okay?
Mr. Cannon, what was the number?
704. Lithium batteries have a flammable electrolyte in it. He talked about the fire. The fire is only the beginning. The fire melts the containers, and then it's the smoke. The smoke is toxic and hazardous. And that depends on who gets it, what time of year, how much wind there is, and which direction it's blowing. That's why I notified the people across the tracks. There's been winds that blow over to them, no way it could be stopped if it had to be that time. Okay, smoke from lithium-ion batteries is toxic. Smoke from lithium-ion batteries will contaminate property and cause health problems. Will the battery system cause the home insurance rates to raise or cause no insurance at all? Being that close to it. And the insurance company's got the bit in their teeth right now. And they're gouging everybody. Will the residents be forced out of their homes if there is a fire? I, for one, probably refuse to leave. And the original General Business 3 was rezoned October 1989. The rezone number is 497. There was more after that because I think they may have tabled it and moved it to another day. But that's when it started. And I don't know if there's anything in the court records under Paul Herons. Back then, man said he was gonna do something, that's the way we took it. I didn't try to check on him or anything. So, I know one thing, I'm very scared that this battery system will cause the values of the property to go down. No matter what you put around it or anything else. Just having it there. But, I've said my piece, and I don't know if you have any questions that you'd like to ask me.
Any questions for this gentleman? Okay, we may have to get back to you, thank you. Okay, the representatives of the applicants, can you come back up, field some of these for us?
Thank you, Chairman. Mr. Bickett, when was the substation built out there?
It was in the early 1990s. It was first built, I think, around 1990, and it was expanded as there was industrial growth in the area, requiring more electric power to be delivered to those businesses.
And without the substation, can those industries be serviced by any other substations or transmission that Hempel currently has?
No.
Now, in order to alleviate some concerns that Mr. Cannon has, the project that's being developed by NextEra is designed to be contained within the area that you can see on the diagram that NextEra has provided.
Right. The new controls and the industry standards have changed to put additional requirements on these facilities. NextEra is under an agreement has committed to adhering to all the industry standards that pertain to fire safety, NFPA, underwriter laboratories, and others, as well as any EPA regulations that apply to this facility. And those will all be adhered to.
These BESS, they're highly regulated by local, state, and federal regulations, are they not?
Yes, they are regulated under the various industry standards.
And NextEra and Hempel have committed in all the meetings, and the site plans, and their application to be in full and complete compliance with that to
Correct.
protect the entire integrity of this area.
Right. And I want to mention, as a local utility, we can talk about our mission all we want. We can talk about the cost of power all we want. But you can ask the team members at Hempel. There's nothing that's more important than the safety of our team members, and there's nothing more important than the safety of the public we serve. So I can commit to you with the full utility commission behind me that Hempel is not going to do anything to jeopardize the health and safety of the public we serve.
And the study that NextEra is...
May I ask a question?
Sure.
You stated on 2 occasions that you've committed to various groups that you will do that. Are you saying here tonight that as part of this record, you're agreeing to do that?
Yes.
Mr. Bickett, the question Mr. Cannon had about the plume study is designed to see the safe area that we would still have safe levels of air in the event, in the rare occasion of an event to occur.
The purpose of that plume study is to give the first responders, the folks that are tasked with maintaining the safety of our community, an understanding of what they're going to be exposed to in the event that you have a thermal runaway event. So that will show the gas composition of what would be coming out and how it would dissipate and or move from the facility.
The plume study has not been completed.
Correct. The plume study will be available, the official documentation will be done at the time when the final site plan is prepared and final engineering and equipment has been procured, so we will have the most accurate information.
I think the gentleman also mentioned, had a question concerning insurance rates, the effect on insurance rates. Do you have any experience or any? Can anyone answer that question? How this development might affect home insurance rates? Okay. Property values, of course. Okay. I think, at least, it seems to me that many of his questions you've addressed with the improvements in technology. Is that fair to say?
I agree.
Okay. Any other questions for these folks? Thank you. Anyone else here tonight who'd like to have further questions about the project? Like to speak in opposition to it perhaps? Just wants to learn more about it? Yes, sir.
Good evening, my name is James Franks, business address of 641A.
Okay, you promise to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Very good.
Mr. Bishop, can you pull up, do you have the ability to pull up my property location in reference to this? So that I can,
Yeah, I think it's 641A.
That is correct, yes.
Yeah, give us. one
Yeah.
second.
So, Mr. Bickett, and he shared some information with you about the 150 feet, that's news to me. I'm looking forward to reviewing that. But currently, the DOT requirement is 1/3 mile, which I believe will calculates out to 1,760 feet in the event that, for exact wording, isolate, in the matter of a fire of a lithium battery source, so 1,760 feet. So I'm looking forward to comparing that to, that may be new information, because this is always changing. You've seen me quite a few times because this is affecting me in the county, and the interesting thing about my commercial property here, which is on highway commercial, is that my neighbor is a farm, which is agricultural. Across the street, we have some industrial, I believe, but sky measuring tool that I jumped on the PBA's website and used right before I come up here tonight was a little over a half mile. I think 2,070 feet is what I had measured on that little tool. Now, if Hempel's batteries were to cause my employees harm, I don't know. I haven't seen the plume studies. I haven't seen any of this information. I really was just a blimp on my radar tonight. But I'm going to ask you to table or decline the approval of this simply on the fact that we don't know enough. Henderson County is always evolving, and I think that this is something we are going to have to deal with, but I don't think any of us have all the information needed. NextEra does work for Hempel, but they've been requesting information by the city fire chief, as you heard tonight. They haven't got that. So I don't think you can make an educated decision. I know that my neighbors, we're outside the immediate, we're not immediately touching them, but we are all going to be affected. In such a unique piece of property, you have farms, you have tons of residents up and down Collier Road there, Old Corden Road, as this gentleman shared with you. And there's no way to know what the real risk is. I haven't seen any of the facts. I'm looking forward to getting to know NextEra more, but that their data and what I've been trained and what has been provided to me as a member of this community is contradicting itself right now. So I have to ask you to make yourselves aware of that and to not approve this juncture.
Thank you.
One question, Mr. Frank. So
Yes.
you referenced DOT. Is there like a standard number or a reg number?
Let's see if I quickly do that for you. Lithium metal batteries, emergency response plan, DOT emergency guidance and technology, release gas hazard fluid. We have many of these applications. Let me see if I can get you the exact site source so that you can do some research yourself.
Okay, thank you.
That would be the Department of Transportation, I assume.
That is correct.
Kentucky or federal?
Federal.
Okay.
And it looks like if you simply go into the search browser, under Guide 125, UN 3536 lithium batteries, specifically in cargo transport or around transport, we're talking about rail lines as they talked earlier, and these are trailers is what they would fall into, cargo containers. But once NextEra provides that information to the fire chief, we'll all be able to make more of an educated decision on that, in my opinion. Any other questions?
Any other questions for this gentleman? Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Anyone else here this evening like to address this matter, one way or the other? Would the applicant like to respond to the latest gentleman's questions?
Well, hopefully, Mr. Franks understands that this is subject to the site plan being approved. If you will note that the next stage, specifically for the usage to be used, requires under the local ordinance approval from the fire department. So the rezone is the step to allow the process to move forward, to allow for the site plan to then be approved by the individuals, including the fire department, the city, and any other individuals that would be affected by that. It is Hempel's complete desire to make sure that that site plan accommodates all concerned to the best of everyone's ability so that this project can be fairly marshaled and move forward so that it can be for the best benefit of everyone involved. So I think that hopefully Mr. Franks understands that this is the rezone part of it that leads to the approval of or rejection or amendment to the site plan that comes back before the city boards that approve those.
And just so everyone understands, site plan is the discretion of the planning commission. That would not go to the board of commissioners and that. The planning commission body itself has the authority to approve or deny that.
What other agencies have to sign off on site plan?
So typically, we would require approval from HWU. Often drainage is a big thing that we deal with. Hempel is one of our technical advisors as well. The fire department, gas department, public works with Mr. Boone in the audience, city codes in this case. So quite a round table of technical advisors.
Including the fire department?
Correct.
And they would have, and that meeting would take place after they have the information?
Correct. So
They've asked
what we
for it?
typically would do would go through the site plan, or I'm sorry, the preliminary conference, or where we meet internally with the technical advisors. We work through the process before the official submittal. At that point, it's submitted. We go through the official process of LDC and planning commission meeting at that time.
It's a conditional use permit necessary here too?
That is required by the city zoning ordinance, and that would be handled by the city's BOZA, Board of Zoning Adjustment.
And when in the process does that occur?
For this project, I believe that's happening November 20th.
That's right. Without a site plan?
Without a site plan.
Will start?
The site plan is not part of the conditional use permit from the Board of Zoning Adjustment. That's a different procedure and a different function. That the site plan is a planning commission and
Okay. So what is the Board of Zoning Adjustments role in this process?
there's the attorney for the Board of Zoning Adjustment. She could give you a much better answer than I could. I can probably answer the question, but.
Thank you. Your name?
Dawn Kelsey,
Address?
222 First Street, Henderson.
Do you promise to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you. I'm just trying to establish for myself and others how this process might play out.
So this will go in front of BOZA on the 20th. Under the city ordinances, is required to have a conditional use. BOZA will determine if this is a good use for this area, and if so, what conditions will be necessary to make this operation safe and meet all the requirements zoning-wise. for that location. So this hearing, it'll go in front of BOZA, and they'll have the opportunity to ask questions and to place any restrictions on it they think are necessary if they believe that this is a good use for this property.
Ms. Kelsey,
Don?
I have a
Yeah.
question. Sorry.
I just want to ask you, will that entail having to wait for, I say, the information that the fire department's waiting on right now, having that information in hand, to even make the decisions and those?
That will be up to BOZA. If BOZA feels like they need that information, they can always table and request it.
Or they can make it subject to.
Right, they're
review.
subject to.
BOZA has a lot
Yeah.
of more flexibility than the planning commission. And in ways it has more power.
Okay?
Mr. Chairman, one thing I think is important to note is, and Ms. Kelsey can elaborate this way better than I can, is the city zoning ordinance requires a much more stringent notification requirement, meaning we typically only are required to notify those who touch and across the road. They are requiring a half-mile
Half-mile.
radius
We-
notification.
Yeah, we sent out and, I think it's 150, 125. We sent out 125 letters to property owners within a half mile. So in fact, we're having that meeting at the Municipal Service Center, anticipating that we'll have a lot of interested people there.
And hopefully that addresses Mr. Frank's concerns about the safeguards that are in place. You've still got the BOZA that deals with the location, size, extent, character, and performance to place any restriction upon it, plus the approval of the site plan by the planning commission staff,
Okay. Plus,
subject to the rezone.
plus the regulations from the state and federal government on these types of projects.
Certainly, we hope that we have reiterated our commitment to comply with all federal, state, and local regulations, requirements with best practice standards to accommodate and protect everyone involved in this matter.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions from the commission? Good. Anyone else here this evening want to speak on this proposal?
William Buzzy Newman, address 222 First Street. I am the city manager for the city of Henderson.
You promise to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
I do, sir.
Good. Please help us.
Couple comments I would like to make on the rezoning request. I think Hempel's request to rezone it from its current general business to M2 is appropriate. The graphic and narrative development plan that has been submitted by NextEra is general in nature. It's not site-specific. I do concur with Mr. Bishop that the site-specific site plan is critical to this request tonight. It's my understanding that this board will hear the site-specific plan at a later date. That's what's been said tonight. My question is, Mr. Bishop, is the public allowed to ask questions at that?
That is the discretion of the chairman, and our chairman has been very gracious and allows people to speak as much as they'd like.
Okay, thank you. Ms. Kelsey addressed the BOZA question, so that, I'll hold that comment. The other question I would have of the applicant, we are very aware that the NFPA, the EPA have evolving regulations coming. We just do not know when they will be adopted. It could be a year, it could be 2 years. The question that I would ask of the applicant, if during the course of time from any approvals that are received either by the Planning Commission, BOZA, and/or the city, and these regulations change, what is their plan to meet the proposed, I didn't say regulated, but the proposed new standards that may come out of this industry?
Thank you.
Thank Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, can I add something
Mhm.
to Mr. Newman's comment? In the past, the Plan Commission has directed staff to send out public notice for site plans that are highly tied to rezonings. Like, for example, the Jimmy John's that we will talk about later was a scenario where we did that. If the Plan Commission would like for us to, staff would have no issue sending letters to the property adjoiners for the site plan. Just to be clear, we're not required to, but we have no issue doing that to make sure the public's fully informed.
I say do so, unless someone has an objection on the commission. Okay, please, yes, put that in place. I think we need to hear from the applicant again, based on Mr. Newman's question. How does the applicant propose to deal with new standards that might come out in the months and years ahead?
Well, the project would need to and would commit to be in compliance with all applicable regulations or requirements that would be applicable to that project.
Even if your grandfather.
I guess I would need to be, Mr. Boyette, I'd have to sort of know what that might be, but
Well,
assuming
that's
that.
just it, we don't know.
Yeah, but we certainly, if it's applicable to this project and can make things better, then I think it's the intent to be in compliance with that.
Absolutely. And any standard, we deal with standards in a lot of areas of our business, and anytime these standards come out, that we do not try to save costs to avoid complying with standards that apply to the work that we do. And that would be the case of this battery storage facility as well. We meet all ongoing standard requirements as they are developed for our transmission infrastructure, our substations as they have been, as you all know in the news, for security. We maintain all of that as an ongoing effort in the business that we do. So we would adhere to any changes in the standards as they go forward. But let me caveat my statement with, that's not known today. So I can't just say uniformly that we would agree to whatever it would be to come about. But I can tell you.
I'm not asking you to write a blank check.
Right, and that's the only caveat.
But as a municipality, obviously, our duty is to make sure that we adhere to those standards for the protection of the public.
That's what I wanted to hear.
Yeah, I mean, I would agree, the reason we're talking about this and taking so long doing it is that this is a evolving, changing energy world out there, and we're all trying to get a handle on it, and there could be some decision in some future point that would make this whole project obsolete. And, we'd have to switch gears again, so I think we're pleased to hear that commitment that was the city manager brought up. Any other questions? Thank you. Anyone else here this evening like to address this?
Are we ready for a motion?
Well,
Close.
I wonder if I take a minute and see if another question might come to mind, okay? It's a brave new world. I do think that in the proposed motions, there were possibilities of some subject tos.
Yes, sir. Staff would request that any proposed motion include subject to engineered site plan and subject to conditional use approval from the city board of zoning adjustment.
Okay, commission understands those conditions. Anyone else like to address the commission in any fashion on this matter? Okay. I'll entertain a motion in regard to rezoning 1160 with graphic and narrative development plan.
Well, considering that we're going to have an engineered site plan and approval by the Board of Zoning Adjustment, I move that staff prepare a proposed motion and findings of fact based on the record we've heard tonight, recommending approval of rezoning 1160 with both narrative and graphic development plans for the property located at 2230 South Green Street, containing 6.878 acres, submitted by Henderson Municipal Power and Light. That the matter be tabled until the next regular meeting that the public hearing not be reopened at the next meeting, that the recommendation will not be reconsidered at the next meeting, and that this vote will not be considered final action.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion by the commission? We have a motion to approve the rezoning as requested with the conditions that Commissioner Boyette has provided. The conditions that, yes, the subject use.
And the reason I'm making this motion is because we've still got 3 or 4 more steps to take before this is complete. I'm more convinced than I was at the beginning of the meeting that this is a good idea, but I'm still not totally convinced. But this rezoning, it's just the first step. It's not the end of it.
Thank you. Any other discussion by the commission? We have, as I said, the motion is to approve. Madam Secretary, please call the roll.
Kevin Richard,
Yes.
Bobby Jarrett,
Yes.
Mac Arnold,
Yes.
XR Royster,
Yes.
Gary Gibson,
Yes.
Frank Boyette.
Yes.
Very good. Motion passes. Thank you. Next item in the public hearing portion of our meeting is another rezoning. In this case, rezoning 1170. Ms. Marks?
Mr. Chairman, would it be okay if we let the room?
Oh, by all means, yes. Everybody stretch our legs. I used to do
Yeah.
Okay. If everybody's ready, we'll try to get back on track here with rezoning 1170, and apparently the city is the applicant in this case as well. Ms. Marks?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Rezoning 1170 submitted by the City of Henderson for the property located in the City of Henderson at 111 North Adams Street, being parcel ID number 2-6-2-3, 01st Street, being parcel ID number 2-6-2-6, and 521 First Street, being parcel ID number 2-6-2-8, containing approximately .961 acres. The applicants have submitted a zoning change map amendment application from medium to high density residential district, R3, to Gateway District Zone, GDZ, to construct a new fire station. So if you guys will remember back, I believe in September, we saw a site plan for the new fire station there on 2nd Street. And part of the process with this was that the front portion, so these lighter blue parcels are already zoned Gateway, and they would need to rezone the back portion, which are going to be these 5 lots here outlined in black, to Gateway as well, so that way they could consolidate all together and then construct that fire station. Like I said, it does include 5 parcels here. All of it is owned by the city. They plan to consolidate, of course, for the construction of that fire station that you all did already approve that site plan. I have findings straight into the record whenever you all are ready for those. The applicant is here to answer any questions that you might have on it as well.
Okay, so we've already approved the site plan for a lot that was unapproved, or unapproved.
That was, technically, the building portion is on on the gateway currently. The parking lot and things like that would be back here, but for them to be able to do that all on, to be able to consolidate it, to have that parking there, they would have to all be the same zone.
Okay, very good. Any questions for staff from the commission? Would the commission like to hear from the applicants? Would the applicants like to speak? Okay. How about your findings of fact?
Yes. Rezoning 1170 submitted.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Sorry, but I guess I do agree. Dylan Ward, 222 First Street, work here at the city building.
Okay, and you promise to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, sir.
Very good. How can we help?
So yeah, just as Mr. Mark said, this is kind of cleaning up some of the stuff we've already done. We're wanting to consolidate all into one lot. We fully anticipate to follow all the gateway requirements. We're going to have, the facade we showed you all previously is the same. We'll have the same facade all the way around the building. So the same type of materials, the brick, limestone type materials you'll see from Second Street, you'll also see from First Street. So, and as Ms. Mark said, the building itself is already going to be in the gateway zone, but we need to consolidate, and in order to do that, they'll need to be the same zone. So.
So, Mr. Ward, just clarify then, so the light blue at the top, you said the construction of the fire station will all be within that, so what is kind of the planned use for, once this gets rezoned and consolidated? what
Yeah,
would be
so
the planned
I
use
think
for that?
if I'm not mistaken, right to the south of that blue line, we had to install an underground communication conduit. So I'm fairly certain that everything to the north of that, because it's right in that alley, is the building itself. And then, as she mentioned, kind of where the cursor is to the right, those two parcels there are, I think both of them may be existing parking. I think the southernmost one, the one kind of just north of the pointer there, that rectangle I don't think is probably going to get touched much during construction. The rectangle north of that or northeast of that one will be revised to be parking. And then all of that, kind of where the mouse is now, is going to be an apron, and there's going to be some parking as well. So some of that to the west of where the mouse is now will probably just be restored as green space. But on this, there's going to be a fairly wide apron, so that when and I'll just point up here, see, when the trucks, the bays are going to be oriented this way, so the trucks will come in off of Alves, pull in, stage heading this way, so when they get a call, they can either turn right and go towards Second Street, or turn left and go towards First Street. So it's mainly paved area to stage trucks and then parking.
Mr. Ward, you meant Adams.
Oh, yeah, sorry, I said, yeah, that's what I meant, sorry.
So, on that block, outside of what's gonna become this new conjoined lot, we've got, 1, 2, 3, 4 homes, is that what it is?
I believe there's 2 right here, and then there's 1 here, and then 1 here.
Okay. And those were outside of the project, remaining residential. Okay, any other questions for this gentleman? Okay, thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Anyone else here tonight that would like to speak in favor of this? Yes, ma'am.
My name's Giselle Purdy, and I live at 512 First Street.
Okay.
I just want to make sure.
Excuse me, ma'am. Do you promise to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do, sorry.
Okay.
I heard you talking, but I didn't, I got confused when you said Alva Street.
Yeah, sorry.
That's okay. So the green part is where IBT Church actually was, if I'm looking at that right.
Yes.
Okay.
This is IBT right here. This is like older, so.
Okay, so my, Miss Payne lives on the corner there, which is by Adams, right there. And then my sister lives in the next house. And then you said the next parcel there is going to be parking?
So without having this.
Okay.
Okay, you do. Yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah, I was gonna put up, when she gets it pulled up, I'll show her. That one probably works.
Okay, so at the top of that plan is Second Street?
Yes, Second Street's up at the north, Adams is on the east, so you're right this time, and then First Street is on the south.
Okay.
Okay, so when these fire trucks are coming in and leaving, I'm trying to figure out where how their entrance and exit is going to go.
Okay, can you speak to that, sir?
Yeah, so on,
Dylan, would you mind using the pointer? I think it may.
yeah, is there a,
Right
okay,
there,
here
sorry.
we go. Yeah, that'll help, that way I don't have to. So the trucks will come in on Adams Street, they'll come in here. This is I'm pretty sure this is the existing lot now that's closest to the properties down here. This won't be, it might be touched, but we intend to more or less leave it kind of in the state that it is now.
Okay,
And then
hold on 1 second. So where's the house on the corner?
It would be down
Right
here,
here?
yeah.
Okay,
So the trucks will actually come in up here. This is gonna be like, parking for staff. So the trucks will come in up here, and most of the time will likely exit on Second Street, but there is also an exit down here that they can come down to First Street if they wanted to come this way. So you have a buffer here, and then you have the houses over here.
so between 529 First, which is where my sister lives, and the house on the corner, on the odd side of the street, which would be the same size as a fire station, what's gonna go right there?
Can you see if there's
This right here.
yeah, it's probably a grass buffer, or it might be just left.
What's
what-
grassy area
Yeah.
right now?
I would say that's probably what it's gonna, based on that site plan, that's what it looks like it's gonna be left as. Yeah, this grassy strip right here. Yeah, I think that's gonna be left as that, is what it looks like on the overlay.
Okay, so there
Yeah,
is
it's
an
like that.
alleyway. Okay. What's gonna happen to the alleyway? Okay, so there's the house on the corner, the 20-something, 28, no, to your left.
That one?
To your left, no, to your left.
This
Right
one?
there.
Okay.
That's like 509 First. Okay, the house behind it, right there, which is actually on Ingram. Then there's another house. Then there's an alleyway,
Right here, yeah.
and then there's one house right there.
Mhm.
In between those last two houses is an alleyway. Is that gonna stay open?
No, it's,
Yeah, we
can I come to the podium? I've been sworn in once before, but to be honest, early on, when we started the development, we closed that alleyway.
Right.
So there will not be any through traffic allowed. And if you remember, the alley was right behind IBT
Yes.
Church,
Yes,
and we closed it.
okay.
You closed it all the way or just behind IBT? Sorry.
We closed it all the way.
Okay, so the house that's on the corner there that was burned,
Yes, ma'am.
and it's a eyesore at the moment,
Yes, ma'am.
what's gonna happen with that versus this fire station?
So,
Is that gonna be addressed?
yes, ma'am, it is. Our codes administrator is here. If you don't care, I'll let
No,
him.
and the reason I question that is because, we have some homeless people there, and I have a heart for homeless people, don't get me wrong. But I worry sometimes, because I saw them over there one day, they had a little fire going, you know? And so, yeah, so, I see people coming in and out there, it's a big two-story house. And I wondered, it's caught fire 2 or 3 years ago, and I wonder with this, addition of this fire station, which I don't object to, but, what's gonna happen with that?
So what I can tell you,
Excuse me. Which house burned? What are we talking about here?
It's on the corner of Second and Ingram.
Across from Holy Name Church.
You know where the cleaners is?
Yeah,
Okay, right across the street.
okay.
It faces Holy Name Church.
Okay, the city owns that, right?
No, what happened, that home was owned, Steve, by the Borlands. It burned, and then within a month, Mr. Borland died.
Oh,
Then, I've been in touch with the family representative as to what's gonna happen with the property. And apparently, from what he has told me, there's been a dispute between the family and the insurance company on the payout of the structure. But what I would like to do is ask our codes administrator to come up and speak to it, because we have talked about that this week, that something has to be done.
There are several people, different times of the day, that I know don't have residents there,
Yes, ma'am.
that are coming and going out there. It's just, it's worrisome, you know, for those people as well as, you know, the neighborhood too.
We agree with you, and we have that same concern, not only from that perspective, but the structure has burned,
Yes.
and something needs to happen. So Steve, if you don't mind swearing in and try to answer the question.
Name, sir,
Steve Davis,
and your address?
1990 Barrett Court, Suite B.
And you do promise to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, I do.
Okay, are you familiar with the situation? Can you help us understand what's going on?
So the property did have a fire. We did meet with the property owner. As Mr. Newman said, the husband shortly after that did pass away unexpectedly. We've been in communication with the wife, and at this point, the intent was to wait until an insurance settlement was agreed to. Mr. Newman has been in contact, and there has not been a settlement. There's been an issue. We do want to address the homeowner with another letter of intent to find out where they are in the process and see when they would like to proceed in either selling it, tearing it down, or what their intent is with the property at this point.
Steve, are they able to keep that secured?
It is secured at this time. Where there were, it was secured, but I tell you, there's a lot of resourceful people out there who have the ability to unsecure property pretty quickly, even in our homeless communities. We did at one point use screws that could not be reversed out, but they were really expensive and became a problem when we went to go have like a demolition process done and asbestos abatement. Getting into property was really difficult to do. So we went back to screws that could be taken out for inspections. Yeah, but it did have plywood on all the windows and doors that were, and secured means the doors are locked too. Doors that are operable will be locked. Windows will be shut, etc.
Okay, any other questions for this gentleman? Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Good evening. My name is Cheryl Nally, 529 First Street.
Good. Do you promise to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Very good.
Actually, I have a couple questions, I think, about the direction of the traffic.
Okay.
Ms. Payne's on the corner, we are on the corner facing First Street. I think the driveway, one of you, was referring to runs right next to my house, maybe 6 foot from my house.
And I used the
Sure,
pointer, and Dylan,
sure.
I'm not taking over.
And if I understood
But-
what you folks were saying, the fire trucks would be entering your property off Second Street onto Adams to turn into one of the lots, used to be Miss Woods and somebody living back, between where IBT was and mine, there's 2 pieces of property in between there. My sister and I lived there over 50 years. We're not tell our age, but we've lived in that block over 50 years, so that's why I know some of these names.
So you live right here?
A second house on First
Right
Street,
here. So as you know right now,
surrounded by parking lot.
right, so that parking lot is currently under a lease to Holy Name School where the
I understand
teachers
that.
park. And that is their exit way out
For vehicles.
for vehicles.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
Now, Dylan, please.
My concern, if I understood it, this is part of the beginning point, if the fire trucks are entering your property from Adams Street, they've been on a call, they're coming in, they're entering Adams Street, correct?
Yeah, so what they'll do is, maybe I'll answer your question by explaining. So this is where the trucks would come in. So in theory, all the trucks are gonna be facing this way. So these are the bays right here. And they're gonna be pull-through bays. So all the trucks are gonna come in this way to be staged. So all the trucks that's in now, So it's the intent that all the trucks will come in and be staged this way, so when there's a call, they'll either come out and turn right, or they'll come out and turn left.
Which
So-
turning left puts them down next to my house.
Yeah, and so right here, you've already got, this is the existing drive, I think is what, City Manager Newman was talking about. So the exit, and then actually too, here, it's hard to talk, but so this is the actual drive, and then you've also got a buffer here. Like here is the dumpster. I'm not quite sure what that is on the drawing, but you got a little bit of a buffer before you even get to that drive, it looks like, before you even get off of our property. So you've got the existing drive to serve this parking lot, which we're not taking. Then you've got a little bit of a buffer there that looks to be about 20 feet. Then you got the actual driveway that's about 24
Now, this
feet.
last driveway, you're talking about the exit onto First Street? Is that
Correct.
what you're talking
Yeah.
about?
So this right here is the drive that actually the fire trucks would use. Then you've got, so the edge of this, it looks like it bumps out here because this is a dumpster. So you got enough, so this line I'm kind of
Where's the
following here,
dumpster at?
right there.
No, I mean, where is it? It's not in the back of my yard on First Street.
No, this
It's on
will
the,
be by the parking lot. This is the existing parking lot.
Yes.
This will be the new parking lot, which that is currently parking too, but.
So you're saying,
Matt, would you mind being close to the microphone so we get it on
okay,
record?
so you're saying the fire trucks are gonna, when they enter from Adams Street, they're gonna be entering close down there to Second Street?
Correct, yes.
Not close to First Street?
Yes, ma'am. I don't know if the fire department would see any reason, but I'm not saying that a fire truck would never enter that way, but the intent would be, I'd say most of the time they would
So
come this way.
here's a crazy question. Where are the, when they get I go to St. Paul's Episcopal Church, and when they get a run, I see the doors come up.
Mhm.
So where are the doors
Right
gonna
here.
be? Facing Adams Street?
or Ingram Street.
Or
Yeah,
in,
both. So you'll have sort of pull-through bays, so you'll have, was it 4 bays?
Are you exiting or entering on Adams Street?
You're entering right here.
Always.
Always.
You're exiting Ingram Street,
Well-
either onto Second or onto First. You're never exiting onto Ingram Street.
Correct, there's not gonna be a
So
road
your
up there.
exits are on Second or First.
Correct, yeah, that's why we closed that was one of the reasons why we closed the alley.
Okay.
okay, so has that block over there been surveyed?
Which block?
The 500 block, the odd side of the street, where you're putting a fire station?
Yes.
Have those properties
Oh,
been
yes.
surveyed?
Yeah, that's what we have submitted to do the consolidation and the site plan. So
Well, what
we've
about
done
the
both.
traffic at Holy Name School? Because they go down Adams Street going to school. There's a patrol lady there every morning. They go down First Street, a lot of traffic down First Street. Lined up sometimes all the way up to Park Machine, people going in the morning and picking up their kiddos. They exit, guess where? Onto Adams Street.
Mhm.
Guess where you guys are coming in? On Adams Street.
Well, and I think that's one of the reasons why we do have ultimately 3 exits, because, in a perfect world, you would always, either come off Second, come down Adams, come in, come off First, come on Adams, come in. But if there was some sort of incident to where they couldn't, and that wouldn't be the regular, but if there was something they could theoretically enter in one of these others, there's enough space where I guess you all could back in the truck if you had to. But that would be not the norm, that would be the exception to the
So when
rule.
this fire station is there, is Holy Name School still gonna, Lisa, you're gonna have an agreement with Holy Name School?
For the current intent, I think, and Buzzy, city manager can speak to the, yes, it's a current, for this lot here.
For how long? I didn't understand.
I don't know that there's a set time on it.
In our agreement, it's pretty much open-ended that if we ever need to revoke that lease, we have to give them so much time.
Okay, here's my question to you. I know there's an exit onto First Street, 3 foot from my house.
Yes, ma'am.
Can you move that driveway up First Street towards Ingram?
Because there's a huge area there.
Huge, because when you're getting, and for you folks that don't know, in that block of First Street, no off-street parking. Everybody parks on the street, both sides. So your fire truck will be hindered, I'm telling you, and I don't believe you guys probably know better than I do, First Street is not as wide as Washington Street.
So the exit of the trucks coming out onto First Street is what we're talking about. It will, to make that turn is, I've never driven a fire.
Then are you
I
gonna
have
be?
Yukon, but
Right.
I know it doesn't turn sharp.
And are you gonna be doing it in the morning when kids are going to school? And then you're gonna be doing it that hour or so every afternoon from 2:30 till 5 o'clock or 6 o'clock when people picking their kiddos up?
Well, they're gonna be responding to fires. They've got when it's fire, they're going.
I'm sorry?
If there's an emergency, they will be pulling out.
I understand that, but I'm just saying other options, that's what I was trying to get at.
Okay.
Can I ask a quick question? Are you asking the existing driveway here that only serves this parking lot?
Mm-hmm.
Are you asking us to close that? Is that what you're asking?
Well, you have a grassy area, and I may have misunderstood you, that you're not developing now. Is that correct? The area facing First Street, which would be probably originally 521 up through the end of the block, there were about 4 lots up through there. That's, if I understood you correctly, it's going to be grassy area, no development.
Right.
And what we're saying is when a fire truck's gonna be pulling out onto First Street, no matter which way you go, it's gonna be a hard turn.
There's cars on both
There's
sides,
cars.
always.
There's 3 apartment houses in that block. And there's one,
Well, highly residential. It's
Yes,
all residential.
yes.
No off-street parking.
So you're really questioning the turning radius of a fire truck?
that's one question.
Okay, what's your other question? Because
Well,
we'll let the professional.
She had that other question. I'm just talking about the turning out, and the safety of cars, because if cars are parked there, of course, a fire truck sits up higher, you have lights and stuff on. But sometimes you can't see coming up that street.
Mr. Can I ask a question? And this may be directed towards Chief Dixon. When the fire trucks exit, will you have lighting on the street that would notify oncoming traffic that they're entering?
Okay.
Yes, so on both sides, on Second Street in the Gateway side and on the First Street, we're going to have flashing lights anytime that we get a call. Those are going to automatically go off. We're going to have roadway signs and pedestrian because of the kids from Holy Name going back and forth across the church. They notify anytime our fire truck is going to be pulling out leaving the station. Or when that station gets a call, those lights will automatically go off and flash for a certain amount of time.
So, when you planned to build a fire station here, you took into account all of these questions about side street traffic and pedestrian traffic. That was part of what your plan, right?
Yes, ma'am. The water crew, yes, sir, working with Dylan and looking at all that.
But when is this happening, kind of thing?
Fire station?
We hope to bid it this soon, like in the next month or two, and then hopefully start construction in the spring.
Well, I am deeply concerned about the driveway or your exit onto First Street. I think it's going to be a real issue, and plus it's an issue for us personally, that close to our house, yes.
Mr. Chairman, may I make a suggestion?
Well, for one thing, we've already approved this site plan. We've already voted on this.
Which is,
Tonight, we're considering the rezoning so they can attach the parcels and build, right?
2 points. So the site, if I remember correctly, the site plan was approved subject to this rezoning, so we're still
Okay,
okay there.
Good to know.
But if it's agreeable to Mr. Newman, would it be okay if Mr. Boone comes out and explains the turning radius, that it meets the city specs?
We can do that, but I also would like the fire department to discuss how a fire engine turning radius works as well.
Could we go to C1, could we go to one of the next ones, either C100 or C104 shows really well the existing conditions. I think it's the one after that one. Yes, that one. That one's a good, that one shows better, the overlay.
I borrowed that.
And we do have I don't know, one of the things that Engineer Boone had requested was turning radius. I've got it on my laptop, I don't have a way to share it right here, but he required the architect to submit all the turning radius for all the trucks all throughout the site. So what you'll see here is this is the edge of our property line, you can see a little bit easier there's the existing drive, here's the proposed drive. So you do have a buffer there. So if the question is having us maybe modify this and scoot this over, if that's your concern, I mean, that's something we could certainly look at. I mean, I don't know, that's kind of separate from this project specifically, because our entrance stops here, you know, and it looks like we probably have 24 feet of green space. So as far as the trucks being close to your property, you know, this existing condition shouldn't change, because this isn't even considered part of our site.
And that's because of the Holy Name parking agreement.
Correct. Yeah, so this, we'll just call it the Holy Name lot. This is still our property. However, the only touching we'll do of this lot is if we need to cut this on the upper side just to put in a curve or something. But this entrance, we do not anticipate changing. We do not anticipate using that at all for the fire operations.
Now, you're not using the whole, I'll call it the lease
Yeah.
drive parking for anything other than leasing because you have no plans for it.
Correct.
You said you might up until you had plans. What might your plans be?
I'm not sure I remember what comment you're referring to that I made. What plan?
Maybe it was you. We're talking about that lot being leased, the Holy Name School.
Mm-hmm.
I understood you say you didn't have plans for use of that concrete, the paved area.
Mm-hmm.
But you didn't know when, it was an open-end, you might have been one, open-end agreement until you might have a need for it. What might one of your needs be for that property?
Well, first of all, if you're asking, are we going to build a building on that in the future? Is that a question?
Could be.
Okay, so if that were a question, the answer is, I don't have the setbacks for the current zone, but I'm not sure you could build anything on that lot. Number two, the city typically does not sell property, okay? So
I know
that's-
I tried to purchase some.
Oh, okay. So, with that being said, we also, that big grassy field between
Yes.
here and Allen Gaines
Mhm.
is a big open
Yes,
area.
exactly.
And that's going to be our other buffer between them and Ingram Street.
Is there gonna be anything that I see on that lot?
Let me say this.
Okay, we're gonna have to get everybody zoned in if we're gonna, or,
Donald Nally,
good.
529 First Street.
Okay, and we need to promise to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the
That's
truth.
right.
Good, you have a question, sir?
Yes, sir. I was wanting to know if there's gonna be anything built facing First Street on the green grassy area.
Mr. Nally, would you make sure to say it to the microphone, so that way we'll get on the record?
Yeah. I was asking if there's gonna be any buildings built facing First Street in that grassy area that you've been showing.
Okay. Where is the grassy area on this plan?
It's up next to Gaines,
On the corner?
up next to Gaines, in between us and Gaines.
It's next to that driveway on First Street.
In between
Okay.
529 First Street and Gaines's house.
It's
on the
about
corner.
200 foot.
Jennifer, can
Probably.
would you mind toggling to the aerial for a second? Because I'm trying to remember where our property lines are now. So I guess this is
It's
us.
that grass.
Yeah.
right
Right,
So
there.
this
this-
is the Gaines house.
Yeah.
Okay,
So
and this is their house, right here.
So all I can say from the city's perspective now is there are no current plans for that.
Is that where the driveway's coming out?
The drive-
Onto First Street that you was talking about, the fire trucks coming out?
Yeah, I think the driveway is more or less right in here somewhere.
So you're not using the one that's right there next to our house?
No.
No, that's
Go back to the
That's gonna be a parking lot?
That is,
the driveway is a straight shot from Second Street to First Street.
This is all, yeah, whatever.
Yeah, I'm sorry, Mr. Ward referenced the existing parking lot is gonna be used for a Holy Name that Buzzy said there's an open-ended lease. So if I understand your question right, no fire trucks are going there.
That's part of my concern with coming down, that's what we were
Yes.
talking about pulling out, because it's very narrow. Also, you'd have to move the light pole that was there too, because you couldn't get out.
Yeah, which is why we kind of referred to the fire truck radius turning and Mr.
Yes,
Booth. That was
yes.
looked at through the design engineer and the government engineer to make sure that it meets, it's gonna be as safe as possible. Is the best way to describe it.
Looks like there's some parking spaces planned along the exit as well.
Well, if I might, and if whoever has control of this lease, you might suggest to them that that exit on First Street is only an exit, because there are people that pull in that way to park also, if it's too busy to go the other, I'm just saying.
So let me ask a question, help me. If I remember correctly, Dylan, there's only diagonal parking in that lot, so if they
Correct.
come in, they're going in the opposite direction.
That's correct.
So yes, we can post a sign, do not enter.
Years ago,
Exit
there was
only.
an arrow pointed up, IBT
Yeah.
had it there.
But we could post a sign, ma'am, right here,
Exit
do not
only or something.
enter, exit only. We can do
And it
that,
may make a difference after you guys get there anyway, people, but it does happen frequently.
but we can do that now.
Okay.
Any other
And the
questions?
And the other thing, Dylan, I'm gonna ask on their behalf, on the landscaping for there, is there any screening in that grass area between the new driveway and the existing driveway?
I'd have to look at the site plan to see what it shows on the landscape plan. I mean, if there's not, it would be easy to add some. We just planted several hundred trees out at the sports complex for screening ourselves, so.
You know what I'm saying? We could provide an evergreen.
Cut down the noise, the eyesight.
Yes.
Okay. The other thing, you might check your survey, I think. What was her name? You said the survey?
Branson.
Branson. Lo and behold to us, according to the survey stick, the angled parking that's running down next to our house,
Can you go back?
about 3 foot of that parking lot, according to Branson's stick, is in our property.
This right here.
Just
3
for
foot
thought.
of that according to Branson's survey.
What'd you say? I'm sorry.
We talk so loud, we don't think we need it, I'm sorry.
Heather really appreciates it because she
No,
has
I
to type it
Okay,
in.
so, uh-oh, I just messed it up. You don't ever want to give me one of these things. The driveway that's there now at 529 First is what I'm talking about, what she's talking about. When Branson did the survey, 3 foot of the so-called city's property is their property, according to the Branson survey. So
That's
that.
where they put the stuff.
That's why they put the
Well, you
sign.
know,
It said that's where.
you might have to tell that to the judge.
So with your comment about this had already been decided on, this is the first letter as a property owner I have ever received about it.
Mr. Chairman, can I?
Yes.
Okay. So you may have heard us reference it before, typically site plans are not public notice. So we did not do that because we weren't required to. But in a rezoning, we are required to,
I
which is
see.
why the property adjoiners.
And I appreciate that.
Yeah, it's, well, and that's why I want to make sure we go the extra step.
And I appreciate that. So,
Did that answer your question?
yes,
Okay.
thank you.
Well, I think for the record, we need, and I will tell you, Mr. Branson, I'll have to check with him about your question about the property line. We'll verify that. Our council is here tonight. In a situation like that, it's something we would probably need to come back to y'all because it's a legal matter. If our property improvements have encroached onto your property.
I don't know whether it's true, I'm just saying that's where the stake was. And,
Mhm.
you know, IBT, we're good neighbors, they park, we park, I mean, we rake their leaves, we did, you know, that's just the way it was. In fact, we rake the leaves for years. But anyway, that's fine, and that's where I said I tried to buy property from the city. Once we saw that stake, I called and asked about that 3 foot, whatever it was, because the way our house is and the property, if you drive by, there's a grassy area out there, and then then they've got parking. They didn't bring the parking all the way to the street, probably restricted by the city some way or other. So there's like 6 angled parking spaces, and then there's grassy area. So I had approached them about just buying it straight back through there for the grassy area, and that's what I was told. That's how I knew that the city couldn't sell you anything.
So let us check the survey. That's what's critical.
Yes, yes.
Now,
Now, am I really worried about 3 foot? No, long, I can park over there and still be a good neighbor, that'd be all right. But
realize one thing, these 2 guys and all their employees of the fire department I guarantee you'll be the best neighbors you'll ever
I
have.
already said I wasn't gonna cook anymore after y'all got there, because I watch TV and I know y'all. I don't necessarily believe it, because I see you at restaurants, but I'm just saying, I don't anticipate.
Does that answer?
Yes, thank you.
Dylan?
Appreciate your time, thank you.
And
Thank you.
if at any time you have questions, call Dylan.
Don't call you.
Well, here's the problem, I won't be here.
Oh, okay.
But these guys are very responsive, and don't hesitate to call.
We're not trying to be argumentative or anything, it's just concerned about the neighborhood and a lot of traffic, already an extreme amount of traffic. If you did a little count down there, you'd probably be surprised how much traffic is going down First Street.
Hopefully, with the fire department having a stronger presence, the speed on First Street hopefully slows down.
Be interesting.
And the other thing, on the home on Second Street, we will investigate it to see if it has been broken into, which gives us more leverage against the property owner to get it boarded back up.
Well, not trying to cause anybody trouble, it's just, you know,
It's concerned.
if you don't get your yard mowed, you get a letter in the mail, so that's what it is.
Not from Steve.
I don't know who signs it.
Okay, I think we're dealing with rezoning 1170. Anyone else here this evening like to speak to this rezoning? Okay, have we dealt with the findings of fact?
We have not yet.
Okay, please.
Okay. Rezoning 1170 submitted by the City of Henderson for the property located in the City of Henderson at 111 North Adams Street, being parcel ID number 2-6-2-3, 0 First Street, being parcel ID number 2-6-2-6, and 521 First Street, being parcel ID number 2-6-2-8, containing approximately .961 acres. The applicants have submitted a zoning change map amendment application for, from medium to high density residential R3 to Gateway District Zone GDZ to construct a new fire station. A proposed motion could be, I move that the Planning Commission recommend that the Henderson Board of Commissioners, the city, approve rezoning application 1170, changing the zoning classification from medium to high density residential to Gateway District Zone for the subject property, and I'll leave the motion open for other members of the Planning Commission to add findings of fact in support of this motion because the proposed rezoning is not in agreement with the future land use map of the comprehensive plan, and the current zoning is inappropriate, and the proposed zone is appropriate because the Gateway District allows for a wide variety of development. The Gateway Committee has reviewed and approved the design plans as they fit within the Gateway standards. This new fire station will help HFD, to cut down on response times for emergency situations in the future. This development will help to eliminate a blighted block with the development of a new structure.
Very good, thank you. Any other questions from the commission? Anyone else here this evening like to address this matter? If there are no other comments, I'll entertain a motion in regard to rezoning 1170.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion. I move that the Planning Commission recommend that the Henderson Board of Commissioners, the city, approve rezoning application 1170, changing the zoning classification from medium to high-density residential R3 to Gateway District GDZ for the subject property. I'll leave the motion open for other members of the Planning Commission to add findings of fact in addition to adopting the findings that were already read into the record. That's my motion.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Madam Secretary, please call the roll.
Kevin Richard.
Yes.
Bobby Jarrett.
Yes.
Mac Arnold.
Yes.
XR Royster.
Yes.
Gary Gibson.
Yes.
Frank Boyette.
Yes.
Motion passes. Thank you very much. Next item, rezoning 1171, an assignment of zoning classification in conjunction with annexation. Ms. Marks, I think you're going to head that one up too.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Rezoning 1171, assignment of zoning classification in conjunction with annexation, was submitted by the City of Henderson, has requested that the Planning Commission hold a public hearing recommending a zoning classification and amending the comprehensive plan for the property located in Henderson County at 8221 Green River Road, being parcel ID number 64-12, containing approximately 1.1635 acres. for the subject area. The subject area is currently zoned county agricultural, and staff is recommending a city agricultural zoning classification for the subject area. So you'll see in your packet, the location that we're referring to is this outlined in black here. The rest of this is the currently the landfill property that is within the city limits, and so part of this would be to annex that into that area there. The city, of course, is here if you have further questions for them, and I do have findings of fact to read into the record whenever you're ready for those.
Oh, why don't you go ahead and do that?
Okay. Rezoning 1171, assignment of zoning classification in conjunction with annexation. The city of Henderson has requested that the planning commission hold a public hearing recommending a zoning classification and amending the comprehensive plan for the property located in Henderson County at 8221 Green River Road, being parcel ID number 64-12, containing approximately 1.1635 acres for the subject area. The subject area is currently zoned county agricultural, and the staff is recommending a city agricultural zoning classification for the subject property. A proposed motion could be, I move that the planning commission recommends that the city of Henderson assigns an agricultural district zoning classification to this subject parcel, and that the comprehensive plan be amended to include this area in the city zoning map when it is annexed into the city, and if and when the city assigns a zoning classification following applicable laws, that such zoning classification be appropriately shown in the comprehensive plan and the future land use map. And I'll leave the motion open for other members of the planning commission to add findings of fact in support of the motion, because the recommended agricultural district zoning classification is not in agreement with the future land use map of the comprehensive plan, that the current zoning is inappropriate and the proposed zoning is appropriate because the city plans to annex this parcel as part of the landfill. Excuse me there, I've got a typo. The zoning classification of ag would not negatively impact the surrounding parcels.
Very good. Commission have any questions on this one? Would you like the commission want to hear from the applicant? Would the applicant like to address the commission?
Jennifer pretty much explained in whole the intent of annexing this specific piece of property. Currently, it's in the county. The city acquired that property since it's adjacent to our closed or section of our landfill that we don't currently use. And it will be consolidated in with our landfill property very soon.
Okay, thank you. Any questions? Very good, thank you. Anyone here this evening want to speak in favor of this rezoning? Anyone else? Anyone here who might have questions about this rezoning or would like to speak in opposition? Very good, I'll entertain a motion in regard to rezoning 1171, assignment of zoning classification in conjunction with annexation.
Mr. Chairman, I move that the Planning Commission recommends that the City of Henderson assign an agricultural district zoning classification to this subject parcel, and that the comprehensive plan be amended to include this area in the city zoning map when it's annexed into the city, and if and when the city assigns the zoning classification, following applicable laws, that such zoning classifications be appropriately shown in the comprehensive plan and the future land use maps, and I leave them. And also, I'd like to include the findings of fact read into record by Ms. Marks.
Second. We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Madam Secretary, please call the roll.
Frank Boyette.
Yes.
Gary Gibson.
Yes.
XR Royster. Mac Arnold.
Yes.
Bobby Jarrett.
Yes.
Kevin Richard.
Yes.
Very good, motion passes. That concludes the public hearing portion of our meeting. I'll entertain a motion to leave public hearing.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor of leaving public hearing, say yes.
Yes.
Any opposed? Very good, motion passes. We are out of public hearing. The next item is the October finance report. Ms. Thompson going to help us with that one.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We are currently 4 months into our 2024-2025 fiscal year and are at 37% of budget. And I'm here if you have any questions.
Any questions from the commission? If there are no questions, I'll entertain a motion to approve the October finance report as presented. Have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor of approval, say yes.
Yes.
Any opposed? October finance report is approved. Thank you all. The next item is the bond report, Ms. Martin.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. You'll see on the bond update there that we do have 2 items for review. The first one is the lighthouse storage facility. We are currently holding a bond for their new entrance on Green River Road. That construction has been completed, and the recommendation is that we release that bond. The second project is going to be for Riverview Coal. We did hold a bond on the entrances for them as well in the amount of $20,000. That construction is completed, and the recommendation is to release that bond. If you guys are good with that, we'll move forward with doing those.
Okay, any questions? Recommendation is to release both of these bonds.
Mr. Chairman, make a motion to approve the bond report as submitted.
Second. Have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor of approval, say yes.
Yes.
Any opposed? Very good. The bond report is approved. Next item is the SKN Properties Subdivision Preliminary Plat. Mr. Bishop.
Yes, sir. This is submitted by Karan Patel, SKN Properties LLC, for the property located in the city of Henderson at 2030 Highway 41 North, being parcel ID number 65L-1 and 65L-1.1, containing approximately 3.72 acres. The applicants are requesting preliminary plat approval. This will look familiar to the planning commission because we have seen this a few times in the past. The applicant is proposing the creation of new lot 4 from what was formerly known as lot 3. Jennifer, do you mind showing where the building would be?
Right here.
Up where the new property line is? So a portion of that building will need to be removed because you cannot have a building over a property line. Staff would request that any approval be subject to one of 2 things, either the building being raised prior to the recording of the final plat, or bonding for the amount adequate to raise the building. We have received all necessary technical approvals from the guys that help us out on that. Staff would recommend approval with those subject tos.
Okay, I'm confused.
Yeah.
What have we been asked to do here?
So previously, there were 3 lots.
Okay,
As you can
I see 3
here.
lots. Okay.
So the 2 that Jennifer's pointing have been consolidated in 1 lot, so that becomes new lot 1. That would leave the large portion as existing lot 3. They are wanting to divide existing lot 3 into new lot 3 and new lot 4, which is what you see here.
So we're consolidating 2 lots and then separating.
Those were previously
1 lot.
consolidated on another plat
Okay.
that we approved in-house. The GIS just hasn't been updated there through the PBA. So that's why the site map will look a little different. But for the primary function for tonight, lot 3 and 4 is currently 1 lot. It will be 2 lots in the future if the planning commission approves the preliminary plat. But we can't have a property line going through an existing building, which is why we request that the building be demolished, that portion of it, or there be bonding in place prior to the final plat being recorded.
So Brian, just to clarify, so this drawing shows the building's not conjoined, but the building currently is conjoined.
Correct.
Okay.
So we'll end up with,
It's hard to see on the screen, but you'll see the shading of the existing building. That's why it's removed on the preliminary plat.
so we'll end up, this will be what we end up with, 3 lots, 2 separate buildings.
Correct.
Okay. Commission have any other questions?
Is this subject to bonding prior to final plat?
Correct. We would basically give the choice to the property owner, either have it raised or have it bonded. And one thing that I neglected to mention is any site plans that would be proposed on these new lots would come back to the planning commission for full approval. Back to the engineered site plan that we've discussed several times.
Okay, any other questions? Anyone else here this evening that'd like to speak to this? Okay. If there are no questions, I'll entertain a motion in regard to SKN Properties subdivision preliminary plat.
Move that we approve preliminary plat for SKN Properties at 2030 US 41 North, property ID number 65L-1 and 65L-1.1, and containing approximately 3.72 acres.
Got a motion and a second. Any further discussion?
Are we gonna add the subject twos?
Oh, the subject to.
What were the subject twos? The bonding for,
Yeah, either the existing structure would be raised or bonded for the raising of the existing.
yeah, that's what I said.
Okay. We've amended the motion. Is the second amended as well then?
Second.
Okay. Any discussion? Good. Madam Secretary, please call the roll.
Frank Boyette,
Yes.
Gary Gibson,
Yes.
XR Royster,
Yes.
Mac Arnold,
Yes.
Bobby Jarrett,
Yes.
Kevin Richards.
Yes.
Very good, motion passes. Next item, the Jimmy John's revised site plan. Mr. Bishop?
Yes, sir. This is submitted by KEB Real Estate Holdings, Ken Butler, for the property located in the city of Henderson at 336 Reddick Grove, parcel ID number 55E-14. The applicant has requested revised site plan approval. This will also look familiar to the planning commission
You
members.
think?
We approved the site plan for this in October of last year. You may recall, as I referenced earlier, sometimes there's controversial projects that you direct staff to send out public notices. This is one of those cases. So that's why it's back before you, one reason why it's back before you. The applicant has requested an update showing lighting that would illuminate their site. They have provided a photometric study that would show the new lights would not protrude onto the adjoining property owners, which I believe is in your packet. Yes, that's the drawing there. So we felt that it was necessary to bring it back to the planning commission because the lighting was not discussed at the previous rezoning or the previous site plan. The applicant has provided the drawings that we feel comfortable making a recommendation to approve this revised site plan.
Okay, so the revision has to do with lighting.
Correct, sir.
Okay.
So to clarify, that's the only revision to the previously reviewed site plan.
Yes.
Okay. Any questions for staff from the commission? Is the applicant here this evening? Would you like to speak to the commission?
Hello,
Name,
Alyssa
please.
Payne.
Okay. Your address?
Address is 8935 West County Road 65 North, Richland, Indiana.
Good. Do you promise to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I did.
Very good. What can you tell us about this?
Yeah, so tonight we're requesting approval for site lighting. We're proposing 4 light poles, parking lot poles, 1 on each side of the property. And you can see that in the attachment you all received where those will be placed. And then we provided a photometrics report as well to show that there is no lighting on the neighboring properties. All the light will be contained onto the Jimmy John's property.
Mr. Chairman, that's what we often refer to as night sky friendly.
Okay. Good.
Excuse me, did you say 4 poles?
There's 4 poles total that we're proposing, 1 on each side of the property.
What I see here, it indicates there's 5 highlighted spots there now.
I'm not sure. So note 17 on the photometrics report and the site plan.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7. See what I'm talking about?
Yes.
This one here is the drawing that they were provided. And then I highlighted all the 17, so they need to so this note 17 is a different reference note. I believe that is an exit sign. I'm not sure what that one is, but that is not a parking lot pole. The parking lot poles are the hexagon.
So 4 posts.
Okay.
4
Definitely
poles,
4 posts.
yes.
Okay. And you said we've notified adjacent property owners
We
about
did, sir.
this meeting this evening?
We did say.
Okay. questions for this lady? Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone here this evening that would like to talk about this? Okay, I'm not hearing anybody. I'll entertain a motion concerning Jimmy John's revised site plan as submitted.
Mr. Chairman, I offer a motion to approve the Jimmy John's revised site plan submitted by KEB Real Estate Holdings, Ken Butler, for the property located in the city of Henderson at 336 Reading Road, PID 55E-14.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Madam Secretary, please call the roll.
Gary Gibson.
Yes.
Kevin Richard.
Yes.
Bobby Jarrett.
Yes.
Frank Boyette.
Yes.
XR Royster.
Yes.
Mac Arnold.
Yes.
Very good. Motion passes. Thank you. You had to wait through all this long meeting for that. Sorry.
Brian, I got one question. On that, the site plan there, there's a diagonal line out in front. Is that a easement area, or what is that?
Chuck, can you zoom in a little bit so I can make sure? Are you talking about the line with the varying
Yes,
distance on it?
yeah.
Yeah, that is gonna be, this was another reason why this was a weird, memorable site. You may remember that they are sharing an entrance with Sugar Creek. That is the actual property line, which on the site plan, which is why the owners of the Sugar Creek had to be co-applicants and sign the site plan as well.
Well,
That's actually a property line.
And I have a problem. What I'm referring to here is this diagonal right there.
Oh, okay. Oh, I believe that is an easement, or that is, Sheriff, can you scroll up there? Yeah, okay, I'm sorry, that's the extent of the floodplain that go through there. But this site will not be affecting that.
Okay, all right.
Okay.
I couldn't read it on here.
You may, people that have been around a while, remember that's Sugar Creek where it goes underground.
Underground, yeah.
Commissioner Wester could probably give us a long lesson on that.
Okay, very good. Moving on to administrative business, Mr. Bishop, we have a few items to talk about.
Yes, sir. Staff would like to recommend and request a public workshop to present the draft version of the I-69 Chapter 10 of the comprehensive plan. We would request that that be done in conjunction with the Board of Commissioners and the Henderson County Fiscal Court. We would like that meeting to be held in this room, so that way we'd have access to broadcast it like we would at our typical meetings. We have started a discussion with the city staff, and the room is available. But at this point, it is the purview of the chairman to call a special meeting. So that is the request that we are making. We intend to share this via our social media platforms, so we can try to solicit as much public input as possible.
Okay.
When is the date for that?
November 18th, and time would be up to the planning commission members. Our recommendation would be 5:30 or 6, so that way we can try to get as much public engagement as possible.
What day of the week is November 18th?
I believe that is a Monday, sir.
Uh,
And Mr. Chairman, and part of the logic for that is, we wanted to get it in before Thanksgiving, because it seems like public participation goes down greatly. Once Thanksgiving hits, people kind of go into a natural holiday mindset. So the recommendation would be do it prior to Thanksgiving, and if we can't do that, we would recommend waiting until after the holiday season to try to garner as much input as possible.
Okay. By way of reminder, Chapter 10 is going to be the I-69 chapter. Has the draft been shared?
It has not. I wanted to make sure we have a meeting. I will do that tomorrow if everyone's agreed.
Okay. So, how does Monday, November 18th at 5:30 sound to everybody? Okay?
Works for me.
Do we need a motion and a vote on, to hold this? It'll be a special meeting for us, right? Okay, well, I'm gonna call a special meeting in for Monday, November 18th at 5:30 in this building, in this room.
Mr. Chairman, we will send out the draft chapter and a meeting invite so people can add to the calendars.
And notify the public and anybody else.
Yes, sir.
The special meeting will deal with the proposed Chapter 10 rewrite of the comprehensive plan. Good. Next item is December meeting deadlines. Mr. Bishop, gonna
Yes,
handle
sir.
that one too?
We discussed this at a previous meeting. The Plan Commission meetings and deadlines would kind of be interfered with by existing holiday schedules. So for example, LDC would be on Christmas Eve, which obviously the Plan Commission office is closed, and I would imagine just about every other office in the United States. So to keep us on track for a January meeting, staff would recommend moving back the deadline at LDC 1 week. So for example, the deadline would go from December 17th to December 10th. LDC would go from December 24th to December 17th. That way we stay on track for our January meeting. And Mr. Friday, please correct me if I'm wrong, the Plan Commission has the authority to change just those dates for that month. It would not change anything in the next calendar year. I believe it is.
Right, then, your motion would be to amend the bylaws.
To amend the bylaws to take care of these new deadlines?
Are you talking about the meeting dates, the regular LDC meeting?
Are they in the bylaws?
I believe the LDC is, but the deadline itself is not in the bylaws.
Are you going to move, you're going to move the LDC meeting? though?
Correct, 1 week back, 1 week earlier.
So you're going to amend the bylaws?
For this one meeting.
Right.
Correct.
It'll be on the 17th.
Yes, we're proposing to move the date of the LDC meeting to the 17th, and which requires a vote to amend the
If it's
bylaws.
in the bylaws, you have to amend that. And
Any questions about this? The January 7th is our usual meeting date.
Correct.
Okay. I'll entertain a motion in regard to moving the date of the December 2024 LDC meeting to December 17. Got a motion and a second? And a second? Any discussion? All in favor say yes?
Yes.
Any opposed? Good, we will move that deadline, or move that meeting date and the accompanying deadline.
now you need another motion for the deadline.
We would request that, just to be prudent, to make sure that we have covered our bases.
So we're looking for a motion to amend the deadline for the LDC meeting to December 10 of 2024. Motion and a second, any discussion? All in favor say yes?
Yes.
Okay. I think you've taken care of that housekeeping, and you'll keep us reminded on all these changes.
Will do, sir.
Good. Other business, anyone have any other business?
It's a letter from Mayor Roberts.
Yes, sir.
Anything addressed us today, or?
We have distributed that to the Plan Commission members. We have met with the folks in Roberts, and they are fairly strong in the opinion that they have had enough of solar farms. So we have made a promise to them that we will be as helpful and as informative as possible, but we have heard and understand their concerns.
And that letter, my understanding, they're speaking for people in the town of Roberts.
Correct. Which is an incorporated city.
Right. Still might have some action from fiscal court in this area as well in the future.
Yes, sir.
But we don't have none in the city of Robert, do we?
Not at this point.
Okay.
It's adjacent to or near.
Yeah,
but not
near,
in.
near.
Yeah, I think they want to kind of get ahead of things. Okay, any other business? Good question. Okay, if not, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Move.
Second.
Motion and a second, any discussion? All in favor of adjournment, say yes.
Yes.
Any opposed?
Ronald, yes.
All right, we stand adjourned.